Oh, didn't see you there. Davor the Conqueror here. This week, Davor conquers Turtle Beach Ear Force PX21. Included in the Turtle Beach Ear Force PX21, you get yourselves a Xbox adapter for an Xbox headset. You have a composite, meaning red and white plugs, which have adapters to 9mm headphone jack. And finally, you have the headset itself. In addition to its form fit, the microphone also has a swivel. Now, swiveling down and being able to adjust to the desired depth and comfort is quite a nice little feature. Stays pretty firm even when you're shaking around. Now, the only thing that is a bit odd is it actually swivels almost 360 degrees going all the way back. Now, unless is to keep the microphone out of sight when not in use, my roommate who actually tried it out first put it on the opposite side. Now, the problem with this is the left sound is actually still coming out of this headset, so he was actually getting the sound in reverse. So it can't actually be reversed unless using your composite cable actually changing the signal, but it kind of defeats the whole purpose of the form-fit design. Now, attached to the Turtle Beach headsets, you're getting yourselves 16 feet of cable, which can be a bit of a tangled mess, but it does have the added bonus of never running out of batteries. Now, attached to this cord, you have your central control hub. Now, it itself, all made of plastic, feels fairly sturdy. The clip seems a little cheap, and I myself, my biggest problem I find are the dials here. Now, unless you're clipping it directly onto your chest, if you have it kind of dangling to the side, oftentimes small adjustments can be made to it while you're moving around. The dials themselves also are made of plastic and feel a bit cheap as you're turning them, like a good old-fashioned cassette Walkman. We have ourselves here the control box. The control box here controls a number of settings. You have bass, music, chat. You have an input here at the bottom for the Xbox headset. You have an expander on and off, as well as a mute on and off. Now, at the end of that daunting 16 feet of cables, you have yourselves two plugs, a 9mm headphone jack for the sound input, and you have yourselves a USB for the microphone input. Now, my biggest problem with this is I don't really want to use the composite to headphone jack. I myself am using a Samsung monitor, which allows directly fiber optic input as well as HDMI and outputting audio. So I would like to plug this into there. Now, the problem is the split between these cables is no more than a foot. My monitor is more than a foot away from my PlayStation, which has caused me a bit of a problem as to how to do this. Now, my solution to this problem is a bit of a MacGyver solution, if you will. I myself, years back, have procured myself a USB extender that goes from USB to Cat5 back to USB. That alleviates a bit of the problem. It does cause a bit of a staticky sound with the voice quality, but I myself would rather have a crystal clear audio versus the microphone itself. Now let's get down to it. The Turtle Beach Ear Force PX21 are not the latest and greatest quality on the market, but are a fairly nice product for the price range. Now, they themselves have a very comfortable fit. When you have them on your ears playing for hours, you're not going to get the ear like you would for other sort of headphones, and also you don't feel it on your head because they're nice and light. Now, the other benefits of the PX21 system is that you're going to get yourselves, as I mentioned earlier, 16 feet of cable, which allows you to travel across a room quite easily, though if you're not going very far, it can be a bit of a tangled mess. Attached to the cord themselves, actually a bit of a Velcro system, so you can sort of bundle it all together to limit the amount of mess. But if Murphy's Law has ever taught us anything, it's going to get tangled on everything. Now, down to the quality of the product, the sound you're getting in is a very, very good sound quality, though only going as high as an amplified stereo system. You're not going to get the full surround sound feel, but nonetheless you're going to see details, hearing them even the smallest minute. I myself, I originally tested it out with Battlefield 3, and I was able to hear people jump. Now I don't mean land, I mean the sound they make when they jump up. Additionally, I was hearing ambient sound throughout the environment, sparks off cars, creaking in buildings, which added a bit of a better depth and playing experience altogether. Now, one of the benefits that I find that many people don't sort of feel the same way as myself is that I myself had a Sony Bluetooth headset for quite a long time. The quality on Bluetooth is not the greatest quality. It will never compare to wired, but you don't have that ugly wire in the way. But with a wired system like the PX21, you're not going to have to worry about recharging your battery or it ever dying, which you can have hours and hours of gameplay and never have to worry about anything like that. Now, the last benefit that I see with this is that the microphone on the headset is quite adjustable. As I said, it can swivel close, far, based on your preference, whereas a lot of old other types of USB headsets, when you have them on, you can't quite form fit it to your particular desired, keeping it out of your line of sight and things like that, which is a nice little sort of benefit, though the pickup on it is quite good, so it does not need to be directly in your mouth in the first place. Now, this product isn't without its faults. I mentioned a few of them earlier, but we're going to get right down to all the cons of the product. Now, as I said earlier, my biggest problem was the distance between the USB and headphone jack. Now, that may not be a problem for everyone, but people who have a very particularly rigged up system to get the best quality, best sound, you may have yourselves a bit of trouble in that sense. Now, apart from that, another big issue I mentioned also earlier is the control box. It feeling fairly flimsy. In my opinion, if anything is going to break or stop working, it's going to be those cheap little dials. As I mentioned earlier, it does feel like a cassette Walkman sometimes when you're adjusting it. Now, the biggest sort of problems apart from build or quality is that you're getting yourselves a bit of a hissing sound. Now, I myself, in my case, I found that if I move my cable away from other cables, the hissing gets a little bit quieter, louder if I bring it closer, but there is no real way to get rid of that hissing sound. Eventually, over time, you get used to it. After about 30 minutes of playing, you forget altogether that it's there. But there is really no way to get rid of that hissing. Now, finally, is the cost of the product. You can get them at various lower prices. I've seen anywhere from about $80 to $100. I myself, I bought these on Boxing Day, so I got about $50 off. At that price, it's still a decent product. The sound quality is quite impeccable. You're having yourselves a microphone and sound, all these different adapters to allow yourselves to have a perfect, well, near perfect experience. So I would have to say the cost is a bit steep, but still is quite good for everything you're getting. Now, if first-person shooters are your game, this may not necessarily be the product for you. If first-person is your life, all you play, you're going to want to invest and sink more money into getting one of some of the higher-end ones, certainly at least one with a full surround sound system, instead of just the amplified stereo system. But if you're a casual gamer, or maybe first-person shooters aren't completely your thing, these are still a quality product. They allow you to submerge yourself into the game with still an excellent sound quality, though, as I said, not as good as a full surround sound. With the mic and sound together, instead of having multiple devices on your head, which I've done in the past, having headset and the microphone dangling on my shirt, this clears up a lot of the clutter. Though it has all its faults and its pros, it's still a good product, and I say it's worth the money based on what your needs are. But, if you'll excuse me, I've got some conquering to do.